everyone. Thank you for joining us on this webinar whenever you're watching. My name is Elizabeth Ford. I am the program manager of the Engaged Athlete Fellowship for the team, and I'm excited to be here today with Jess Nelson from GoFundMe to share with you a resource to give you the tools to raise money for your civic project. So I will turn it over to Jess to give us all the info we need to get your project kickstarted.
Great. Thanks, Elizabeth. Thanks, Hannah, for having me. If we could go to the next slide. Great. Thanks, Hannah. All right. Hi, everyone. So it's so great to be here. I'm really excited to take you through this hopefully engaging slide deck today. I'm Jess Nelson. I am a senior engagement manager at GoFundMe, and I oversee our partnerships and ensuring athletes like yourselves know not only how to take action on GoFundMe, but how to do it successfully. I've included my email here, so please don't hesitate to reach out at any time, or you can always find me on LinkedIn too. Here's just an overview of what we're going to cover. So, some of the topics today include what is GoFundMe, how to create a fundraiser, some sharing best practices, and more. So, let's get started. You can head to the next slide, Hannah. Thank you. So, I hope many of you have heard of GoFundMe before, but if you haven't, we are a fundraising platform. We believe that help is powerful, which is why we're committed to making it safe and easy for anyone to give and get help. At the heart of everything we do, it's we help people help each other. We've come a long way from our 2010 start, and the vision has translated into something truly extraordinary. GoFundMe is operating in an unmatched scale. We have over 200 million people in our ecosystem, $40 billion given across the platforms, and 2 donations every second. With 90% brand awareness in the US, people know and trust GoFundMe. You may or may not know this, but we support over 5,000 nonprofits directly with their fundraising efforts, and we have a nonprofit arm, GoFundMe.org, which can be a helpful vehicle too. That trust and momentum allow us to shape the future of fundraising and move quickly in a fast-changing landscape. Our team's vision is to make generosity irresistible, celebrated, and meaningful. All right, so let's dive in on the basics. Getting started on GoFundMe is pretty simple. So you'll want to just head to GoFundMe.com and you can click Start a Fundraiser to start your fundraiser. Once created, you'll need to share your fundraiser with your community. And depending on the type of fundraiser you choose, you may need to ensure that transfers are set up, but more on that soon. If you're ready to get started, you can scan this QR code on the left, so start your fundraiser today. And you can follow along, or you can always access our Help Center articles like this one. So this create a GoFundMe from start to finish. Our Help Center has tons of information to help you in your fundraising experience. So please feel free to rely on those resources that are already there for you. All right, what to include in your GoFundMe. So after you click start, you'll have the chance to add some relevant details. This includes things like your zip code, a fundraiser category, and if your fundraiser is for charity, you can add the charity directly. When raising funds for a charity, funds will go directly to the charity versus going to you or someone else. This is the easiest way to get those funds to the charity of your choosing and protects you in the process. If that's not an option or you're not raising funds for a charity, you'll want to have a plan for how funds will be received. Will you be accepting the funds into your bank account? Will someone else? Just something to think about before and as you get started so you have a plan in place. When setting a goal, you do have the option to enable SMART goals. This is an AI-powered tool to raise your goal proactively. Now, if you know your project will need, let's say, $5,000, you can either have automated goal setting or you can set it yourself manually. Goals can always be adjusted both up and down. You do not need to reach your goal to receive your funds, and your goal can be raised as much as you need. Many times our AI tools can help write your story, but let's talk more about this and ways to customize your story to add your own voice. You'll always want to include the basics, right? So who you are, how much you need, how those funds will be used, and what for. But adding personal details to your story is so important. What about this cause is important to you? What do you want people to know about your story, your project, or the charity? Include more about how your friends, teammates, professors, or others can support you. Your voice matters. Additionally, videos and photos are also a great avenue to tell your story. Even a 60-second selfie video from you is a perfect way to engage with your audience, introduce yourself, share more about the sport you play and where you're attending school, and then tell us about your project. Next slide, please. Okay, so once you've created your fund, you will then have the chance to share and manage that fundraiser. Really quickly, here's a snapshot of your managed dashboard. You'll see you have a quick overview of your project. So I created one for this purpose of supporting the team. You'll see that there's a goal tracker, there's some other fundraising checklists that you can follow along, but our goal is to ensure that you have all the support where you need it. Hannah, if you wouldn't mind just giving a click. So on the left-hand bar, I want to point out a few important details. So this is the first one is your donations. This is where you can thank your donors, see who's donated, etc. Give it another click. Then we have our transfer. So again, if you're choosing a charity directly to give to, that will go directly to the charity. You don't have to worry about that. If not, if you are receiving money, if someone else, if a individuals are going to receive them, this is where you'll want to go. You can add their information or add your own. Give it another click, and then updates. Updates are where you can provide updates on your project to your donors. This is a fantastic tool to engage with those donors. So we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. But right now, let's focus on sharing. So Hannah, if you wouldn't mind just clicking one more time. This is where a big portion of what you're going to do happens. So we'll head to the next slide and talk about sharing. Okay. Arguably, the most important part of having a strong fundraiser is getting the word out. There are lots of ways to do that. So let's talk about some of the ways that you can. Social media is one of the, oops, sorry, let's go back one more. Thanks. Social media is one of the best ways to get the word out, and I know the group tuning in, so you know that already. Whether including a link in bio, adding a link to an Instagram story, or making a TikTok, there are many, many ways to engage with various audiences. Don't forget LinkedIn too. Add a post and reiterate why this work is important. You can tag supporters like the team, GoFundMe, and others that you think would like to bring awareness to this. You can even tag me. You have a built-in audience as athletes that want to help you and see you succeed. So do not shy away from calling on them to help you through this. Outside of social media, of course, there are ample other ways to get the word out. Email and text your family and friends. You can send a note to old teachers and coaches. The possibilities are endless. The important part of this is that you actually share your fundraiser. We can head to the next one. Perfect. A newer one that we've seen, a newer way to share that we've seen to be successful for athletes specifically, along with teams, creators, institutions, and more, is our QR codes in events and live streaming. So if your team, athletic department, and or stadium is open to it, you could even have your fundraiser displayed throughout a game. I encourage you to think outside the box. Again, your community wants to help you, but you need to ask for that help. You have the power to do this. You just need to take action. If you're interested in any of these tools and have any questions, we're always here to help. Live streaming is a fantastic way to engage with. If you have a following, it's a fantastic way to do so. So again, there are ample opportunities. You just have to share. Okay, so I showed you some of these features really quickly in your managed dashboard. So let's talk a little bit more about them. Thank yous are a fantastic way to engage with your donors. You can do it individually, so you can thank someone directly and curate that thank you, or you can send a generic one to all your donors. I encourage you to make sure you're thanking your donors. It's a fantastic touch point for them, and donors love to know that you're thinking of them as you donate. Give another click. Posting updates. Again, we talked about this, but this is so important. People want to not only know that you're fundraising, but want updates on what's happening in your world and your project. Be sure to provide pictures if you have them or videos. You can always include those in your updates. But anyone who's giving funds to you and to your project wants to know more about how that is going. And the last but not least is recurring giving. So this is a way for donors to show up monthly. If you're considering doing a long-term project or if it's for charity specifically, this is a great way to create lasting giving for your project. All right, account support and PR. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the team behind GoFundMe. So of course, I've introduced myself. I sit on our engagement and impact team. But there are quite a few people at GoFundMe who are dedicated to ensuring that you're successful in your process. So, our first is our customer success team. They provide white glove service to various people that are in their fundraising journey. We have our communications team that are constantly sharing fundraisers with media. You have our engagement and events team that are doing engagement in person and more. So we're here to help. Please don't hesitate to reach out with questions. Again, you can reach out to me directly. You can reach out through a handful of ways on GoFundMe's website, but we're here to make you have everything that you need just at the touch of your fingertips. Here's a little bit of some of what our comms and PR amplification has done. So you'll see a handful of stories here, all collegiate stories that have landed press across the board. So we've had various athletes take action and doing things that are then shown up in media. If you're open for interviews, that's even better. And our team would be happy to try to secure an interview for you so that you can talk about your project and what that means. This is a fantastic way to not only get the word out to your own community directly, ideally in a local way, but also to people who may not know you. And this is a great way to expose them to a project that you're working on. A little bit of other products at GoFundMe that I do want to make sure I highlight as they might be relevant to you. So first is GoFundMe profiles. Profiles are a great way to showcase multiple fundraisers and causes you care about. So let's say you have a couple projects, you can put them in one place. You can send people to this area that will have all of them housed, as you see in the graphic here. But think of this as your social impact account. You can easily set up your fundraiser under your account when you're signed into GoFundMe. So feel free to add them. You can also add the team members' fundraisers. So if you want to share your friend's fundraiser too, this is a great place to have that there. You can also include nonprofits directly. So again, just think of this as your social impact account. You want to be able to showcase multiple causes and projects that you care about. Again, you'll see a handful of featured profiles. You can also take a look at some of the ones, some celebrities, sports people that maybe you want to check out and see what they're up to. If you have a larger following and are interested in rallying the masses to give to causes you care about, a giving fund might be the right fit for you. A public giving fund gives you the chance to have a personal foundation without having the foundation, because essentially what it'll do is it'll serve as a savings account that you can then grant out to nonprofits. And this is for multiple causes. So, again, if you have interest in this and you have a large following, this might be a good fit for you. Happy to talk specifically about this product directly. But it's a fantastic way if you have funds or if you're during your time at in college or even beyond, if you want to dedicate funds to various nonprofits, this is a great way to do that. Okay, so as you can see, there's lots of ways to get involved. If you ever get lost, you can always go on GoFundMe.com. Up in the top right corner, we'll have your profile picture, and you can see all the places to go. So again, you have your profile. Your fundraisers will take you to where your managed dashboards are, your giving fund, if that's applicable. You can also measure your impact to see how many people have given based on what you've shared or how many dollars have been raised. So there's lots of ways to see how what you're doing is making a lasting impact in the community. Frequently asked questions. Okay, so see, these are some of the questions that Hannah was able to send through. I hope some of these have been answered in our session, but I did just want to go through them directly. So we talked about goals, but how should I set a fundraising goal that's realistic but still ambitious? There's a handful of ways to approach this. So it really depends on the project. We have a few Help Center articles too, so definitely check those out. But you can go either way. You can set up your SMART goals. So if you know the project's going to cost, I gave the example of $5,000 earlier today. If you know it's going to cost $5,000 and you enable SMART goals, it might start you at 600 and then raise it to 1,200. So it'll slowly raise that so that you know that that's in the top line goal. Or you could set it at 5,000 and be really clear about what those funds will be used for. Regardless of which option you choose, I think in determining what a goal is for your project, be realistic and be understanding of what actually it's going to take. If it's genuinely going to cost a certain amount, be honest about that and include that in your story. donors would rather see exactly how much it's going to cost rather than finding out down the line, you know what, that's actually not how much it's going to cost more. So always just be honest and upfront in your story about how much the cost of the project actually will be. Second question was, can I run a GoFundMe while still being a student athlete without affecting NCAA rules? And this is a great question. So before name, image, and likeness became allowed, a lot of athletes were not able to fundraise in this way. With that changing, yes, you are able to fundraise on GoFundMe. And this applies both for local US athletes, so if you're in the US, as well as international, which I know has been a question in the NIL space specifically. Now, I say this though because each campus also has some different varying degrees of what they would like you to do. So there are some campuses that do not want athletes using GoFundMe if it's for a school-sponsored project. So my best advice is you're most likely fine, but I would really encourage you to speak with Hannah, Elizabeth, and other members at the team and ensuring that we're in compliance with your specific university. How do I explain my civic engagement project in a way that people will understand and care about it? I love this question because it really is so, so important to be authentic when fundraising. And I feel like this group, especially, you're already passionate about a project. You're already doing this. You've joined the fellowship. It's you already have done that part of it. And so now it's like, how do you tell people about it? And I genuinely can't stress enough, just be authentic. Tell people why. Whether that's, you know, you're writing it out. I sometimes like to just type out a fundraiser story and really understand, even just for myself, like, why do I really care about this? If you can convey to people why you care and why they should care, that is really at the crux of it. We want to ensure that you have that. If you have questions on how to write that, we're always here to help. I also think a video is just a beautiful way for you to connect directly. Again, you can have your phone and do a selfie. It doesn't have to be anything really curated or really fancy. People, your community, your teammates, everybody just wants to hear from you and know what you're doing. So if you can explain that, if you can talk about it in an authentic way, I think that that is the best way to do it. And then how long should a GoFundMe run for best results? This really varies. And I'm sorry that it's a varying answer, but if it's a project with a deadline, absolutely include that, right? So if you need to collect funds in a month's time so that you can do your project, make sure to put that in there. But typically, when you're determining the length of how long your GoFundMe should run, it really depends on the project. And then it also depends on how willing and able you are to share and talk about it. We talked a lot about sharing in today's session. If you're not talking about your fundraiser, people will move on or forget about it. So, as long as you're being intentional, if you're planning for a long-term fundraiser, months, years, you'll want to have embedded times to reach out to people and remind them, hey, I'm doing this project. Maybe you send an update every single month or every Monday you do an update. But regardless of how long you're doing it, it's as long as you're able and willing to also talk and share about it. So again, happy to talk more about all of these. I'm sure there are additional questions. And as you get started, there might be more. I can't stress enough how important it is to be authentic, to put yourself out there, to share. Doing a fundraiser and showing people what you care about is so beautiful and such an amazing thing to do. And I know that it can feel weird asking people for funds. But I always stress and want to encourage you all to think when you give to someone's project, when you give to someone's fundraiser, as I'm sure most of you have at this point, how does that make you feel? And most oftentimes, people say that makes them feel good. So I encourage you to think about that feeling when you're asking your friends and family. You don't have to, you can think about how positive that makes you feel when you're giving as you're making those asks as well. Okay, so that brings us to the end. I did want to ensure we provide some stay connected options. So if we can go to the next one, again, my email is here. So jnelson@gofundme.com. You can always reach out with questions. If I don't know the answer, if I'm not the right person, I will make sure to connect you with the right person. Feel free to connect on LinkedIn here. We're always looking for fantastic stories, and this is a wonderful group. We want to make sure we bring awareness to your causes and what you're up to on campus. So please don't hesitate to reach out. If you're looking for additional resources, our help center is phenomenal. There's tons of video resources too. And then if you have quick questions, we do have a chat bot. So feel free to check that out too. But really appreciate you all. I know you're going to be doing amazing things, and I am so thankful for all of you and for the team for getting started. So thanks so much, everybody.
Great. Thank you so much, Jess. I encourage you all to tap into these resources that we are so grateful to have, whether it be rewatching this webinar or taking advantage of the PR and comms opportunities. I also encourage you to take advantage of the creative and very applicable sharing methods that Jess so thoughtfully shared out. And we'd love to see whatever methods you end up taking. So, as Jess mentioned, I want to reiterate that you should check in with Hannah and myself to make sure that we're remaining compliant. And I would also recommend that you check in with someone from your department. But I'm happy to have a conversation about that, Hannah as well. And we're so excited for all of the fundraising that's to come from this. So, thank you, Jess, for your time today.
Thank you all.